evening, ladies. Well, not evening, afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? And yeah, I just came back because I forgot to hit play once again on the recording, so I want to avoid making some editing, besides of the awful intro I give to all the videos I upload to the YouTube channel. But anyways, I'm a little bit sleepy, just in case I'm letting you know. And not yet, but PapaBean is going to be joining us. Ulford, the usual co-caster, is going to be playing for Baddies of the North as tank commander. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, Baddies of the North versus VLKRT. I don't know what that stands for, to be honest. I mean, I know it's VLK and KRT, but yeah, I don't know what each name means, even less the whole joint name. Maybe it's both clans' name, just the case in common at the end and the start. So yes, I don't know, but yes, we're going to be watching here Baddies of the North versus VLKRT here on Utah Beach, and the midpoint. I don't know if I can tell it. Well, it's here. Midpoint is going to be W7, WN7, Win 7. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit complicated for Baddies of the North in this match. We all know WN7. Jeez, sorry. 7 here. It's usually the best point to defend for the allies. I believe it's going to be an interesting match. I don't know the level of the teams. I got told that Baddies of the North played against, I don't know if it was VLK or KRT, and they won 5-0 in I don't know how long. The match, I mean. But yeah, so at least there is a clan that we could consider inferior, but I wouldn't say that because this is a completely different thing. It's a whole coalition. Maybe we are going to see a VLKRT actually winning 5-0 against Baddies of the North. But well, I have a little policy here on which I'm always in for the team I'm casting. So let's go Baddies of the North. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say right now. Well, as I was telling you, PapaBean is going to join me a little bit late. I'm talking with him through Discord. He's not home yet, I think, or something like that. So he's going to be joining. I think he's told me 10 minutes after the match start. We are 3 minutes prior of the start of this match, and yes, that's all I can say by now. Camera admin is working. I see Kaunashi on the other side, who is also casting from the KRT, VLKRT side. I'm going to be once again from Baddies of the North, and both teams are almost in. I mean, Baddies of the North is completely in the server. They are giving the server to this match. So yes, the coalition between VLK and KRT is missing 4 people as now. Maybe 1 because total players indicates me here 99. So we'll be soon starting here. Once again, Utah Beach, WN7. I got a thing here because it's something I mentioned yesterday on the other stream with Ulford, which is quite strange, knowing the map 30 minutes prior to the match. It's, puts you in a spot where if you get a map with such an unadvantageous point like WN7 for the axis, it's kinda hard. So yes, I'm kinda interested on how this match is going to develop, mostly because of the teams and the point that we will be watching here. So once again, let me check the time. We are 1 minute away, 15 seconds away of the match start. So I just want to check here. This is working. This is great. Going to enable the game sound here to be ready. You should be able to hear people shooting themselves right now. Trying here a little bit since BOTN is doing some final coordination tasks here at WN7. And here we go. Map is flipping. Yeah, I know you are not seeing it. Give me a second. It's just in case. Who was I joining here? Kaono's squad I'm joining. Good luck, have fun, boys, to both teams here. And let me check where is Kaono's unit. So it's going to be Roger. And here we have a transition here, so you'll have to wait for PapaBean. Once he comes in, I'll probably have to alt tab here to OBS because I have to activate Discord, and mostly because I don't know if my Discord, the OBS is going to capture Discord sound, so yeah, I have to make sure of that. Well, Captain here making sure of the nodes, and I mean, well, WN7 followed by WN5. That's going to be a kind of rough ride for BOTN in case they manage to capture WN7. It's quite far, to be honest. So WN7 5 followed by Anchor Red. I mean, it's okay. It's fine. I mean, WN5 is the most, like, I don't know, point. But, well, on the BOTN side, we have a Lagrange Creek and Sunken House. Let me check where is this coalition here right now. We have the map to see BOTN. Got people getting ready. Supply truck here. Infantry truck here, there, and at the back there, see a Greyhound leaving the mid HQ, the mid HQ, the south HQ. My bad. I see here a Stewie coming, and I wonder where is the medium. Anyways, boys, we have here the display of Baddies of the North, a supply truck here, followed by a infantry truck here in the middle, and two infantry trucks on the south, followed by a Luch and a Puma and the P4 and another Luch. It's going hard on the south of WN7 Baddies of the North here. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin. Supplies falling on both sides of the map. We see there German supplies, Allied supplies. Don't hear anything yet. Junior, he might be trying to get us steady, not that steady. Maybe yes, maybe not. 80 snipe. Rob might be trying to do the same for Baddies of the North. Trucks are rushing into WN7 by the Axis side from Baddies of the North. First shot by the P4. Needless tries to 80 snipe, which misses. Ooh! Great job by the P4, destroying a, I believe it was a transport truck there. Correct, transport truck. This is going to delay quite a bit the VLKRT. maybe not that much, because they still managed to get 2 trucks, one straight to the point, one to this very important house in the map, at least in this point. Luch here starting to blast. Stewie doing the same here, hitting, well, the Greyhound actually. Laderpen holding here the south part of WN7 for his team. We have sitting chart in this house, killing Benny. Truck destroyed there by the enemy, the allied or Axis artillery, better said. Got the medium tank here, very aggressive from VLKRT. Truck here also destroyed. Luch blasting at that house, trying to remove people from there. Quite a strategic spot for the allies here. Second Luch approaches the point. Gap still going for the allies. Got an aggressive Stuart here. Where is the medium from the Baddies of the North? He's trying to get some elevation here to see better over WN7, which is proving to be quite a hard task for the P4 right now. And there goes down the Greyhound, who got stuck in the trenches. Allied medium moving straight to the south of the point. Pushing very aggressively. Believe he's going to take a shot on the Luch. And he does. One of the Luch, it's gone. The other one is holding the north part of the point here. Honey Vulture tank here. Face to face against the Stewie here. No, runs away. Very brave move by the Luch here, trying to get all the OPs from VLKRT. Jeez. And yes, that's what I thought I saw. I don't know if it was the medium tank over there who was in an elevated spot back there, or if it was someone with a HC gun, anti-tank, missile launcher, rocket. The Panzerschreck will know that the Panzerschreck here for the Germans is able to penetrate the frontal armor of the enemy mediums. So yes, Luch, I believe he died already. Don't hear him anymore. Yes, there he did. Baddies of the North right now has to capitalize on what they just did, basically destroying this medium tank here and removing a few good amount of OPs here. So if they're smart enough, they are going to let his people push, but be careful here because we have a shotgun. Shotgun usually tells us we have a satchel, but no. Here later dies, unable to satchel this P4. Be careful, seems Moore is going to flank the tank here, the medium, the P4. Never mind, he died. No, what is the P4 going to do? I'll risk it and push straight to this road, try to take this Stewie out. At least one of the Stewies. Seems that's going to happen here. P4 shows up. P4 bounces on the Luch, on the Stuart, I mean. Stuart pushes back, trying to not get shot once again by the P4. P4 backs up too. Damn, boy. Be careful, because LeGrand Creek is being captured right now by VLKRT. So let's swap there 1 second here. Where are they? Behind. Well, here we already see who the Waymo is, and seems to be Andy. How are you being?
How are you, man? It looks like this is going to be a pretty competitive match. Just looking at these two teams here.
I do believe the same. Actually, I was talking before you came here and the match started that these two teams, at least one of the two of the coalition of VLKRT played against BOTN. I don't know if it was 36 versus 36 or 49s. And BOTN managed to win, to get a win, a 5-0 win. I don't know how long the match lasted there. But yes, WN7, what can we say about this point?
You know, I gotta say that you're gonna have to push front door. You're really gonna have to push hard front door, and it's gonna have to be a teamwork effort. When you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, you're gonna have to work with tanks. Infantry and tanks are gonna have to work together here in order to control this point, and you gotta control the different lanes of attack. You know, whether that's, you know, that main MSR that you see KRT riflemen on. You got to control that lane of attack because everybody's going to push down that way. You know, you got to control these different lanes with your tanks. And it wouldn't be a bad idea, too, to have, you know, an anti-tank gun. Oh, that was a wonderful, wonderful kill right there. That just got two guys there.
That rocket by Sergeant Nuts. Yes.
You know, you got to have those controlling lanes of attack and control that front door, and it's going to be a meat grinder. Either way you look at it, meat grinder all the way around.
I mean, it's basically what you're saying. We are watching this meat grind go and go and go, and be careful because BOTN is right now capturing the point. Look at that push over there by Korn and Excel dying there to Moore dying, Moore killing Core, I mean. Or was it Dogma here?
You know, VLK and KRT cannot jump off this point until they have pushed that enemy out. You know, and they're not doing that right now. They got to get back and reset like they just did there. They got to control the point, and then they got to push all the way into those trenches. And they got to control that movement. Their tanks need to be working with the infantry. What they have going on right now, perfect with those tanks. The tanks are the only reason that they're still controlling this point, if you get what I'm saying.
I agree. And here we have the first 76, the first heavy of the match. I believe that we have a Tiger here too. That's what I heard before. Tiger is really going for it. Ooh, what a shot. Did not pen, but got it on the move. 76, looking straight at the smoke.
He's going to have to be peeking around those corners and taking out, you know, taking those shots when he can. You know, it might not be a pretty shot, but he's going to have to line it up and kind of think where that other tank is going to be. Oh, that was, oh my goodness. I don't know if that was a satchel or what.
Might believe it was a satchel that managed to get the tank. I believe this tank was hurt before, so might have been that satchel right there at this very short distance that got this P4. Great play by VLKRT, and sitting here getting a nice kill above the tank, the dead tank actually.
It looks like the artillery has zeroed in on their spawn. They're spawning right there. They're gonna have to find a different area to spawn or whatnot. They're just gonna keep getting killed by this artillery if they're not careful.
I mean, at the end of the day, as you were saying, this is a mid-grind. Tanks are very useful to hold this point or attack it, but the artillery, if he knows what to do and where to shoot, there is no need for tanks, actually, I would dare to say. What do you think about that?
I would have to almost agree with you. You know, I think tanks are useful. But if you have an artillery player that can drop the rounds exactly where they need to go, you know, the biggest thing, though, is they have to have those call-outs from squad leaders and even the commander saying, hey, this is where they're at. Hey, this is what's going on here. You see, you just got to know that coordination needs to happen. That communication level needs to be at, you know, the highest point in order to be that effective, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would agree, as long as communication is effective, and that coordination between all of the leaders in the voice chat is on par, if that makes sense.
I completely agree with you. It's not possible. I mean, the tank is able to see the field here, what he has in front of him, but as you say, artillery is not, so relying on communication would be like the main killer of the artillery, not being able to use it properly because not good callouts by the officers in general. Bears,
you know, I will say that Bears, he is one of their better squad leaders. You know, you watch Bears, he understands what he's doing. I've played with him before. He knows what it takes to get into a good position, and he's trying his best to set things up for his team because he knows that artillery is going to be killing them right out the rip. He knows that the tanks are there, so he's going to have to find a good spot to set up an OP or whatnot without necessarily dying. Sooner rather than later, that kind of moves, you know, it moves everybody forward here, and you're not just having to run from the trenches here. So that's going to have to be their move in order to take this point. They're going to have some tanks probably push up. Their artillery is going to have to be, you know, next level in order to, you know, take this point.
And also, I was commenting on well, we actually commented about this with Ulford past night on the last stream. And what do you think about the HCA giving us, well, not us, but the teams, only 30 minutes to prepare for the match? Because we get the information of which map and which side you are going to be playing, also the midpoint, literally 30 minutes prior to the match. So it's hard if you get, in this case, like Baddies of the North, when you get side. I mean, I don't mind playing as German here in Utah, but when you are a German and you have to play WN7, for example, it's quite painful for the whole team. So, actually,
you know, and I would have to say this, you know, do I think it brings a different element to the game? Absolutely it does. You know, when I was in the 7th Cav, you know, we had weeks, you know, sometimes even more than that, to prepare for an operation. What I will tell you is having 30 minutes to kind of prepare and get ready for things, I think it does bring it to a different level. It does show your skill as not just playing the game, but it shows the skill of all the leaders. You know, you need to maybe have the preparations for just that midpoint, or knowing the midpoints for most of these maps that are in the lineup. I think there is a pro and con to it, like I just said. I think the con would definitely be you don't necessarily, have the time to be prepared, and I don't think a lot of these teams are used to it. But I think that's kind of what will put them onto an equal playing field, if that makes sense. Because now you're not giving them the time to prepare for the match, and everybody's equal. Everybody has the chance to win. And mistakes are going to happen a lot more. Maybe your truck drivers aren't going to get into position. It'll just be one of those things that have to, you have to really be on top of your game. And so I definitely see where that organization is coming from with making this move, if that makes sense.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I mean, well, as I tell you, it's kind of painful if you get this example here, Baddies of the North getting to know that they are going to be Utah as Axis, WN7, but also I would say that it actually forces the teams or the players in general to know the maps, because if you do not know the map, how can you make a very quick strategy in just that P-strike almost getting here? This Tiger
one of their tanks are gone. Oh my word.
Honey Badger tanks get shot out by Sergeant Nuts. 2 rockets in the back. Tank was hurt from the 76 back there.
And KRT have done exactly what I said they were going to do. They needed to push that front door, push, Baddies of the North out of this area. And control that front line. Now you can, now that you have your defense set up, they're going to take some time now to kind of assess if they can make an attack like they're doing right now on Creek there. And once they have that ability to assess that, they're going to try to push, Baddies of the North to commit more guys on defense. Because if there's more guys on defense, that means there's less guys pushing them, and that means that they can start switching guys up to an attack. That's a really strong strategy here that they are really efforting, especially since WN7 is one of those harder points to control, and they have successfully pushed out Baddies of the North here.
Sasquatch here, getting a nice shot on Watchdog. I believe he's the only one on attack right now from VLKRT.
Oh, Sasquatch and Reap are gonna go. Oh,
and Sasquatch
goes
loses.
down.
Nice reflexes there by Reap.
But you see that one guy, those few guys back there are forcing, Baddies of the North to commit back there. They got to send some guys to address that problem. And that has allowed VLK KRT here to really establish themselves now on defense. Now, they might sit here and hold this point and kind of see what progresses and what opens up for another 15 minutes or so. Before they're more comfortable doing, an attack of some sort.
Well, this is something we were watching with Ulford past night when we were casting Chimera versus Syndicate. There were 2 occasions where Chimera managed to sneak out an airhead behind Syndicate lines and behind their defensive point, and they did not overreact to that defense needs. That's something that indicates that a team is good. It's not overreacting on the defense, because if you overreact, you give it, well, as you were saying, you give free way to the enemy to keep sending people behind your lines and keep pushing your main line, your frontal door, so forces you to retreat. But when you do not overreact, you can keep pushing and fighting, the front door of your enemy, your opponent. So, yeah, I would dare to say that maybe maybe, I don't know, we did not see the whole picture back there, but I would dare to say that BOTN maybe sent 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys more than needed.
I think that might have been the case. And is it going to be a consequential move on their part? No. But you know, the big thing that I always tell people when they say, "Bean, you know, what are some things that comprise of a match? What are some of the factors?" Well, a lot of it just boils down to the number of guys that I have in one circle outnumbers the number of guys that you have in your circle. And so having that understanding, and if you are able to pull more guys from circles and whatnot, yeah, you're going to start seeing a lot of, you know, adjustments needing to be made. And like we said, it might not necessarily be, you know, 5, 7, you know, 8 guys. That might be 1 or 2 guys, but those 1 or 2 guys, you know, that can, you know, oftentimes those little things, those add up with a lot of different things like mistakes, you know, different placements of OPs and garrisons. Everything adds up in the end.
Salter White getting here behind the enemy lines, gets killed here. I believe it was Excel or Bert, one of the killers, who got actually completely destroyed here by artillery. And once again,
oh, a whole squad
when the artillery knows when to hit, you just can't spawn in. It's that simple.
When they know where they're going, it's deadlier than all get out. I mean, it's like walking through a hornet's nest without any clothes on. You're gonna get stung, and that's the same thing with regards to this artillery. If it knows where it's going, you're gonna get killed. And you can see here, VLK KRT has really established their front line here pretty effectively. They're kind of preventing any flanks from happening. You know, they're really controlling, you know, the narrative for the vast majority of this match so far.
Allied M4A3 getting destroyed frontally with the Panzerschreck here. Ralphus sending up a flare here, indicating this amount of people spawning in from an OP, I believe.
So this area that KRT is in, it's pretty close to where a lot of teams will be setting up garrisons, kind of where you know, that boundary meets. You know, this is kind of where a lot of teams are going to be setting up their garrisons, their front line garrisons, if they're going to be pushing WN7. And so it's almost needed that you control that intersection in that house in order to, you know, control the flows. And having this tank here, I'm telling you, it's deadlier than all get out. If they're able to peek and they're able to get those shots downrange and they're able to control all of these lanes of attack, I mean, Baddies of the North don't stand too much of a chance here.
So right now I'm checking here, and we got a 2v2 on tanks. Have that tank that we were watching, that 76, this 76 here pushing that Tiger that just came out of the factory over here. And that Tiger that got so many stories to tell once its crew comes back of war.
That 76 definitely knows that Tiger's over there. Definitely knows.
I would believe he's been marked like for a good while, because it was not destroyed there yet. Careful here, careful here. 76 gets the shot out there. Tiger also does. And 76
oh, and the 76
got the kill.
Wins.
For no reason, that Tiger should have poked and tried to get the shot anyway. You were shot first. When you are shot first in this game, you better retreat or get destroyed. 76 proved he was able to penetrate the Tiger armor at that angle, so yeah, I would dare to say Tiger should have retreated, not try to stay and fight, because we saw what happened. Rolfus here dying to...
Well, you notice that the infantry is going to support the tank, and that's something that these teams that are on a different level understand. It's that if you see a tank that's out repairing like KRT is currently, your infantry is going to get out and try to support that tank. You know, and regardless of whether or not you have any assigned duties, they're going to try their best to protect that tank as they're repairing, because they know how crucial this tank is to their success.
Baddies of the North trying to get a double AT on the back of this 76. Unable. How the hell did you miss that AT? Point blank!
You know, you just really got to make those shots. At the end of the day, those are those shots that are going to make or break the match. You know, I talked about that earlier. It's those little things that add up. It's the rocket that doesn't land on the tank and kills it, and now that tank is still able to be in the fight and control that lane on the front line.
I mean, this Tiger got a problem because he's got the 76 right in front, who's about to shoot him, as I told you, not letting him poke, and I see a third 76 there coming in. So right now VLKRT got themselves in a very comfortable position, you know. Besides of what we were saying of this point being very in favor of allies in general, having 3 tanks and your enemy not.
I mean, they're pushing Baddies of the North back with what they have, and they're managing, you know, and that's something key too. They've been doing a pretty stellar job of managing their resources in order to have that many tanks on the field. And you know, you notice that, you know, they're out repairing their 76 over there. You know, they understand that level, and they're controlling that front line, and you're starting to see the shift of troops moving towards the next point. Now they're not necessarily on that front door of WN7. They're starting to shift over, and they're reestablishing where that front line is going to be. And once they're able to reestablish that, I think we're going to start to see Baddies of the North are going to have to start to address that push as they currently are, and they're not going to necessarily have all of those guys on the front line.
From where? Well, it's something that Ulford actually mentions quite a lot, and I do agree with him, and it's basically what you should say. The economy, basically, on, well, supplies terms. You were, well, you don't see it, I mean, you don't, in case of the viewers, because of the super big sheet thing I have here on top. But right now, Baddies of the North, it's lacking fuel for their 3rd heavy tank. So, well, once again, talking about this, the fuel economy, being able to bring a 3rd tank while your enemy just is back to 1, and that one not being able to poke, because got 2 tanks pinning him. It's complicated. It's a complicated situation here for Baddies of the North, and they still have 56 minutes on the clock, so
I mean, they have plenty of time to reestablish themselves. You know, that's the beauty of it, man. You know, they're gonna have plenty of time to reestablish their attack and whatnot, but they're gonna have to take some time. You know, you got several tanks out there. You got a decent amount of, you know, defensive infantry that you're going to have to go up against. And a big thing that the commander's going to have to think about too, do I need to, you know, fall back? Do I need to bring some guys back on defense? Because eventually, you know, KRT and VLK they're going to make a push. They're going to make a move, and it looks like they're starting to gear up, you know, and try to move their guys around to reestablish where they want to go. That was a stellar headshot. Oh, my mother could feel that one.
Damn, Rifleman, what a lovely headshot there on Milkman, I believe it was the name. Got him here, getting Lord Burst.
You know, this is part of that discussion we had. You got to win the gun battles. You know, trading, going back and forth. You know, that rifleman guy, he took out what, 3 different people until he finally fell. That's the kind of trade-offs that you need in order to be successful on defense here. You can see now they're starting to make a move on the opposing teams on Baddies of the North point there. You know, we saw it was just kind of contested there. It looks like they're trying to make a play here.
We're already starting to see some infiltrations, but not like the first one we saw, that it was somewhere coming from over here, somewhere over here. No, this is a whole infiltration. I'll believe that Mayuari here is going to, same as Andy, both are going to bring OPs quite close to the point. Milk also.
Yeah, Milk gonna bring an OP there too. Looks like Baddies of the North have sent out, it looks like a recon tank out there.
Yep, I see the Puma right there, trying to chase Milk.
Run, Milk, run!
Nope, too far. There it goes, Milk goes down. Andy manages to get in the point, getting Prince Coyote here.
Andy better be careful of that recon tank too.
Keeps marking the Puma for his team.
See, now you're starting to see some of these infantry guys come in. They're going to start successfully putting pressure on this point here. They got 5 guys in that area. Baddies of the North, I don't know what reply they're going to have for this. This will be interesting to see. They just lost their recon tank here.
They're recapturing right now the point, but be careful because the OPs are doing its magic here. Point is once again falling for VLKRT. Contested once again in favor of Baddies of the North right now. No, I think, thinking in case of VLKRT, you should have stayed in the hard point, my opinion. Taken better position. Ooh, that OP.
Oh, they got off in time.
COs here. What an OP.
You see, if they stay in the point here,
I mean, they should be able to get kinda good positions here to camp, to wait for the enemy being, in this case, Baddies of the North. Here Rip, a needless, gets a headshot right there, gets a second kill needless.
Yeah, but that OP might go down because Bobby is going to be looking to take that out.
Bobby seems to be willing to camp this OP, not just take it out. You motherfucker.
He's just looking at it going, I see you guys coming.
OP managed to survive this bombing. did I miss here?
Looks like they tried to use a bombing run to clear it out.
No. I believe there was a second OP here, because look at this here in the map. The recon showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Yep.
dots. So I believe they had a second OP here. Here Guinness getting Xios out.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. Having baddies of the North have to fall back and address, you know, readdress, you know, that point there. You know, having those guys shift around, because now you don't have as many numbers on the front lines. Looks like Sasquatch there just took out an OP. He's looking to take out that tank, and he does. Oh,
76.
Man, that's gonna hurt.
And Sasquatch working together here, getting this tiger out. No, that's teamwork, you know?
See that? Yeah, that really is, and you see how that line has now, you know, been addressed. I mean, they've lost. You know, baddies of the North have kind of lost that entire front line there. It's pretty open. I would not be surprised if you start seeing KRT and VLK and getting their guys all to start, you know, gradually pushing over and reestablishing that line. Oh, a precision strike gets him.
This, I don't know who to react, because this is actually very painful for Baddies of the North. 2 tigers in less than a minute or so.
I mean, oh.
But I want to check here, what did this tiger blow up? So I do not believe it was a tank. Something over here blew up.
I think it was that repair station there, the repair station.
I don't know, might have been this 76. This ham here is new, and yeah, dare to say he destroyed this 76. It's on line of sight for that tiger, but yes, fortunately that tiger died there. And hang on, because this is interesting. We were just seeing this song completely flooded by VLK and KRT people. Now it's flooded with this light blue or blue that the game gives us. So Baddies of the North is not going to give up that easily. They're telling VLK and KRT to come fight to get this portion of the map. So 76 here, nothing to look at, to be honest. Tiger here is coming down to help this push once again, this front line we have here, or they're trying to establish once again. And be careful, I'm just seeing this. Got a few people here on the back.
Oh, Andy takes down their commander.
Mailbox dying to that Andy here, but this is kinda dangerous for Baddies of the North, cause they're trying to get a new main line, a front line, and these people here behind them seems to be doing their job on destroying that wish of getting
Junior's
a new...
looking to take out this tank here. I think we're going to see a satchel here. Let's see if he gets this satchel off.
Ulfirth, wake up, Ulfirth. Ulfirth, come on.
Honey, I'm home. Do you know about the satchel that you left in your rear?
Here, P4 trying to save his comrade, but no, satchel has been placed already, and I don't believe this tiger has time in case of the crew gets down here. No.
Oh, worthy death by the guy that placed that satchel down, let me tell you.
So, well, let's check a little bit here the map because too much action. Now, let's talk a little bit about strategy if you with me here. Gary's. Well, this Gary was just removed. Was right here. I believe they have to get this one up ASAP right now.
Where they have their garrisons up or where they're looking to get them up, that's typically where you're going to see these comp teams. They're going to be putting these garrisons up in D7 and D8, lower right-hand corner. It's pretty easily to control that area, and it opens up those lanes of attack for baddies of the north. When it comes to your VLK and KRT, your ideal area that you're going to want to have a decent garrison is currently being controlled pretty well by baddies of the north, and that would be in like E6 and E5. Setting that up on the front lines. And on top of that, baddies of the north have done a great job creating a radar there. They got 4 garrisons around the creek. That'll basically be a reminder to them of, hey, you got guys coming in through this area, and especially if they go down, well, then they're going to have to really address that problem. But if I'm the commander for VLK and KRT, I'm going to be trying to set up a garrison where I can, which would probably be in E5, right along that little river creek right there, that little canal area, and to get my guys moving through there because they got cover, they got enough. If you get enough movement there, you can start to move into the creek, and as you can see here, VLK is currently taking out that one garrison that baddies of the north had on the front line there. And now it doesn't appear to me that baddies of the north have any frontline garrisons, as far as I can see, unless I'm missing something here, buddy.
No, it's not. The only front gate garrison they had was the one here that just got destroyed or removed by the VLKRT. So, yes. We were seeing here they're trying to get this front line up once again. Oh, such a big amount of people just perish over here. But yes, we're seeing him, Baddies of the North, trying to get a front line once again. But yes, all this south part of the map just completely collapsed. And going back to the same thing we were mentioning, the tanks. Baddies of the North, with this third tank that we saw here, lost 3 heavy tanks in, what was that, 5 minutes or so?
It was less than 5 minutes that they lost those 3 tanks, and now they have a medium tank out.
They have this medium. They had a recon who got destroyed by the infantry over here, and here we have the first Tiger here leaving once again the HQ, but this is painful because once again losing 3 Tigers in 5 minutes, it's a lot to take in. Even more if you know that getting one Tiger literally takes 6 minutes or so.
It's going to take them some time to reestablish themselves, and it might take them a little bit longer based off of what we're looking at here. My fair guess would be that we could probably see them take another 20 minutes or so to kind of reestablish themselves, to control, that front line again from baddies of the north. VLK and KRT, they're working pretty well together. They're controlling what they need to control. They have successfully been doing all of their assignments. They are going down the list and they're checking it off. They're going, all right, we controlled their front, the front door. Check. We controlled the meat grinder. Check. We have been controlling the tank game. Check. Our resource game. We've been doing a pretty decent job of that. Check. When you start going down that list, you start seeing more checks than blanks. You're going to start looking at a different type of game, and you're going to start to see, who's going to come out on top and who's not. And at this point in time, VLK and KRT, they're checking off a lot of the boxes. But, I mean, we still got 40 minutes left of this match. There's still plenty of time.
I do believe they have time to stand up once again. Let's say in a way. I think they have time to reset their whole front line, or at least all this. If they start, I'll, I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but if they start thinking a little bit, I mean, you see they coming from the south here. How can you prevent this? You know they are here trying to get here. How can you prevent this? Well, I'll start with something over here in the middle, starting from the south, maybe taking here Junior, and start walking behind your enemy who's trying to walk behind you. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to completely disband here an attack, a front line, or something like that, you gotta take them from the back, because it's the most effective way of doing it in a very quick way. And here we
go. They're putting a little bit of pressure, and it looks like it was starting to get a little contested over there.
Point shoes became contested, shoes started falling for VLKRT and became contested, and once again regained by Baddies of the North here. So out there to say that for VLKRT, Rifleman here, well, he just died, but out there to say that he or Moore here are going to be like the MVPs, because for VLKRT sides at least, they are, I mean, every time we check them, they are getting a good amount of kills without dying until they die.
Will B here, he has a lot of street knowledge, as I like to say. He's gonna have his OP set up over here, and I know that others are gonna have OPs that are gonna start to be set up along this little creek here, so that they can control if they're gonna get in through that back door. They need to have that radar system going on at this point in time. You got 35 minutes. You gotta start playing a little bit of. You gotta watch those areas where they're gonna flank, because VLK KRT, they're doing a pretty good job of slowly encompassing this point, and they're controlling all those lanes of attack, if that makes sense. Using, they're climbing on top, they're getting their MGs into position, so that they have that field of view to control. I don't know if that tank, that 76, was satchel. Did you see if it was?
No, I don't see any signs of satchel here. I think Captain here is not trying to. It's trying to play like safe, not to be seen by the tank commander. You see him running here straight to the tank.
He might make a play here.
Nope. Nope. No play. I believe it was CT7567. Why? Just why would you name yourself like that?
We're a battle droid here in Star Wars.
Basically, Rob there getting a nice AT on the side of that 76 here, but getting killed by Kelly or Fekor here. So yeah, well, talking about tanks here, look where we are. We are on this zone, so tanks already left the defense point for VLKRT. They're getting ready to attack. So VLKRT, I don't know, it's complicated for Baddies of the North here, because they better push the south quick before these guys here, these two tanks, make their move. Because once they do their move, if they do not give room for Baddies of the North to replace those tanks they lost before, or to set a very appropriate defense, out there to say that they are going to rush in and completely
like
get the
point.
point.
Heavy's coming out of mid for Baddies of the North there. It looks like another heavy is coming out.
Honey Badger's Tiger, it's moving up there. We have Ulvert once again. Recon just
Let's hope he
died
doesn't
over
get
there.
satcheled this time.
Let's hope. That's all we can do right now. But yes, if you pay attention, you're going to be seeing how VLKRT it's slowly but steadily getting all the way around Legrand Creek, north, south, and east. So
think of it like an anaconda. It's like an anaconda, and it's going to wrap around, and it's going to slowly suffocate. That is their entire plan right now. Is that they're slowly trying to choke out Baddies of the North and try to control all of these different areas. Because if one area goes down, okay, that's fine. They're gonna push from another area, and if that area goes down, okay, they have different lanes of an attack going on, and they are going to slowly start to suffocate Baddies of the North here. So it'll be interesting to see how the next 30 minutes definitely does play out here in this match.
B strike here. Where? Here? Was this alive?
I think it was.
If it was alive, very good B strike destroying it. And maybe yes, this repair station is not for the Axis, is for the allies here. And yes, this was an alive tank. Very good B strike here, giving some relief to the Ulfbird here, Tiger, so he can start pushing in and helping his infantry here. But yes, be careful, because Milk finds two people spawning in an OP and manages to get them both.
I do want to say though, something that I've noticed so far from Baddies of the North is that their flare game has been spot on today.
I agree.
I think getting those flares out is so crucial. I talk about this plenty of times. I would rather have my spotters, my sniping team, I would rather have them on the front lines. I would rather have them either, close flanking than having them in the back lines trying to take out garrisons and stuff like that. That was a long talk that we used to have in the 7th Cav, and let me tell you something. My opinion is, if you're going to have some of your most crucial pieces in a match on the sides, on the far sides of the map, you're doing it wrong. Because you got to have your recon spotters putting those flares over the point, giving the information that's needed, and it's just so valuable. And it's actually pretty cool to see that they are effectively doing that. It does not look like Baddies of the North are going to be able to reclaim this, from what I can see here, unless they have a trick up their sleeve here.
I mean, what can we say? Right now, Baddies of the North is completely naked. I mean, all those 4 Garys you were mentioning for being a radar for Legrand Creek, they are gone. They have to start coming all the way from back here, from Sunken House, all the way to the point, and it's a whole block here, 200 meters to run, plus
this bombing run
100
could play
more.
Something.
Hopefully this bombing run is going to help a little bit here, Baddies of the North, but it comes down to what you mentioned earlier. It comes out to winning those 1v1s. It's all down to trading.
Gotta,
here an airhead by VLKRT.
I think the tanks were a big crucial part of it too, is that, well, let's see.
Point seems to be being recaptured, not anymore. This... Where's the airhead? Here.
There it is in the bush.
Such a... I believe the guy is so lucky that the airhead got right there, unable to be seen. 76 here has already pushed all the way to the point. I don't see any other 76 pushing right now.
Those 76s have been crucial for this team. I can almost tell you right now, those 76s played a huge factor in taking out those garrisons that we were talking about.
Tiger here destroyed, by the way, here on the north. P4, nothing to do against a 76. Ulver tank south seems to be gone too. VLKRT right now is winning 4-1 against Baddies of the North.
I mean, that airhead is crucial, and yeah, once that that garrison's down, and Baddies of the North, you know, they got guys up there, but it's like you're losing your front line stuff.
I mean, what can I say? It's basically what you mentioned. It's all what you mentioned, for fuck's sake. But yeah, those tanks, basically, those 76s made the whole game for VLKRT this match.
You know, I talk with, you know, I've been playing with some new friends of mine. They're part of a group called Twig Gaming, and they haven't really ever played Hell Let Loose. So, you know, when you play with guys that are of a lower level, and they watch some of these comp matches, they always ask me. They always say, you know, Bean, you know, how do you know about these positions and whatnot? How do you understand what's going to make or break the match? And it simply comes down to
having 4,000 hours in the game.
Correct. Absolutely. and it definitely looks like, you know, VLK and KRT, they definitely have had some time here to really, you know, and it's impressive to me that a coalition is able to work this smoothly together.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
Oftentimes, you know, you don't really see coalitions that often work well. I know Baddies of the North, they have always worked well. They worked very well in APL. And so, you know, I think that both of these teams are definitely some of the top tier teams from their respective, you know, regions. You know, one of them definitely being from America and the other being, you know, European and whatnot. But, you know, you watch these guys play. And these are some of the, you know, are they on the top level with, you know, a spirit and whatnot? No, but these are the teams that are knocking on the door for that tier, you know, that tier 1. These are the teams that are knocking and saying, "Hey, we're ready to take the next step." And it's always fun for us. And I won't dare speak for you, man. But it's always fun for me to watch these teams and for me to be able to talk to these other, you know, players that are up and coming, that are lower levels and whatnot. And I say, you know, you can really, you know, as a team, achieve whatever you want to achieve. And so it's really nice watching these teams work together. And KRT and VLK have really done a pretty, you know, bang up job. And I got to tip my hat to Baddies of the North as well. But, you know, they've really stuck it out for this, for the majority of this match.
I mean, I actually got nothing else to say. I think you basically said it all. I completely agree with you there, and it's interesting to be watching, you know, how teams play. Mostly when, well, as you say, if you are a low-level team wishing to get better, or willing to do the job to get better, actually, these matches show you what to do and what not to do, actually, and it can be very helpful.
You know, I think these are the type of matches that will, you know, help these, you know, guys that are on their teams, right? That are, it looks like, you know, KRT and VLK are capturing the last point here. You know, Andy and Milk, you got to tip your hat to them. I mean, how many times have we been calling out their name today?
Plenty. Guys doing
but
the infiltration work. It
looks like Baddies of the North are making an effort on that on Creek there.
Yep, they are capturing their right now. This point, Sunken House is being defended completely, and here we have a whole most of the capture coming from people in the soft cap on the 4 squares here covering LeGrand Creek. Baddies of the North does not want to finish this match on a 4-1, even less a 5-0. They're willing to do everything for that 3-2 at least, or 2-3. Rifleman here once again. Was it from behind? There, Coffin. What a great position you got yourself in, Coffin, right there. Well, Vomit Coffin, actually.
You know, I wonder if we see a bombing run attempt here after this flare that VLK KRT. They're also probably going to try to do a quick bombing run just to kind of try to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, bombing run right here would do the trick for VLKRT right now, and a bombing run would also do the trick for Baddies of the North right here. Careful, cause Sunken House is being capped. 4 people in the hard cap, not just in the soft cap. 4 people in the hard cap here. One guard was just removed. That was over here, quite close to the front line actually. Tiger was destroyed. I'm checking here. Baddies of the North has been struggling a lot with the enemy infantry getting those tanks from behind actually. I don't know if you noticed that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like such a big problem, because they actually showed up to be quite a strong team, tank-wise at least, during the APL, but it's getting you to think a little bit on what happened for these guys to suddenly have such a bad performance here with their tanks.
You know, I think a lot of it just kind of comes down to, you know, you were talking to me about, you know, oh, are they trying? Are they gonna get it off? I don't know if they're gonna get it off here. One of them's like, "Hey man, I'll get on. Let me jump." Oh, well, I just went down. I'm so sorry about that. Oh my God, we're both down.
None managed to get that satchel on here. But yes, the house has been taken by Andy here and Sergeant Nuts. Not enough force to keep capturing this point by VLKRT right now. They want to finish this match right now, 20 minutes remaining, but it does not seem to be the thing right now.
It is definitely not in the cards for them to finish up this match, because I think Baddies of the North are going to, you know, they are currently saying we will not go down without a fight here. But I do think that, you know, VLK, KRT have definitely forced Baddies of the North to commit back. And if Andy just is going to chill there, you know, he might come out there and he might go put his OP down, and then we're back. Then we start this whole thing up again, you know. And that's something that I talk about with a lot of people, is making sure when you clear a point, you got to clear it completely. You know,
be careful here, because Nerdy and Excel are going to get in the hard point, you know. And when you're in the hard point, the hard cap, I mean, you know if there is someone in the point. So they probably start looking for him.
Well, I think that's what that tank is shooting at. I think that tank's looking for somebody, but
Nerdy and Excel completely oblivious of Andy's presence here. Whip might be the one to notice.
Or maybe Morgana. You know, it's one of those things that you kind of just have to wait and see. It doesn't really appear that anybody's really taken too much of a keen interest in him.
There goes a flare pointing out where Andy is, so they do know that there was someone here. Andy knows he's moving.
It looks like Nerdy and Reap are heading back there. You know, Ralphus is back there too.
I'm hearing tanks here. This is interesting, because who doesn't love a big boom boom?
Oh, we all love the big boom booms. Let me tell you. I love the big boom booms. Let me tell you, brother. Lord knows I love them big boom booms. Give him over here.
If this P4 manages to play it well, and if this 76 is giving completely his side, which he is.
But I mean, he's also getting pointed out by the commander of the other team too. So, you know, he's kind of in a pickle himself.
I mean, the P4 is able to take this 76 in 2 shots. Because P4 is able to penetrate the side of the 76, but no, 76 moves, and there is no chance anymore. Or yes? Or yes? Or yes? Look at this.
Hey, I'm looking for the big boom boom, brother.
Yes!
There it is! Boom boom!
Jeez! What a great shot here. Who was the gunner? Let me check who was the gunner here. Whiskey Pilot. What a great shot. Absolutely amazing job there, taking that 76 down.
Threading the needle. Threading the needle. You know, you gotta narrow it down to that point, and he does it. He delivers. Now, I guess my bigger question right now is, if hypothetically Baddies of the North were to take back the creek here, do you think it's likely that they would be able to put any more pressure on WN7?
I mean, let's check the enemy. Let's check how the enemy is positioning himself right now. Because if they do take the creek here, followed by an immediate airhead, I wouldn't say in the point because it would be like too obvious. But be careful because Kaono here has 50 supplies.
Kano, I mean, he's waiting. He's waiting back there. So, you know, and it looks like the commander's going to get back there too. With 18 minutes left, yeah, this could be a very close game. I'm going to tell you right now.
I mean, it's up to Baddies of the North right now to make it right.
You know, the more time that VLK KRT owns, you know, the more. Oh, I don't know if does this commander know he's over there? Oh, we're gonna see. We're gonna wait and see. Cannell's just gonna wait it out. Brother said, "I'll let you go for now. We'll see each other again."
Maybe he's going to get up a Gary back here, or he's going to remove a Gary back here in favor of something more offensive. Without wasting resources. And Kaono here, very, very careful, man. Just waiting for it.
He did a great job because it's pretty easy for anybody to see a free kill. But here's the difference between a good comp player and somebody that calls themselves a comp player. Just because you get the kill doesn't mean that you're good. You got to have the street smart to know, well, if I reveal myself here, then everybody knows that I'm back here. But if you wait and you watch what happens and you see, oh, he's getting down a garrison back here. Okay. Then you're more valuable, if that makes sense. Oh my God, there's a body in that car.
I completely agree with you there, because, I mean, usually it's complicated. Because the Wamo, you know, the guy that is supposed to be infiltrating behind the enemy lines, has to be a great shot, someone that can protect his own OP against, I don't know, 6 players, suddenly. Hypothetical case. But at the same time, has to be someone that knows when to shoot, knows when to hide, knows when to do nothing, just vanish, you know?
Yep.
So
yep.
And
I think it's so important too that there's only one whammo person. You know, you look at that squad setup. You know, he has one. There's one person, and he will sit there, and he will wait, and he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't do a lot of hunting. He doesn't want to reveal where he's at. You know, he does an effective job. You know, not just 3 minutes ago. You know, to bring our attention back here to Creek, but about 3 minutes ago, we were watching this point here, and it looked like Baddies of the North were giving it a good college try, and they were going to actually, you know, give VLK and KRT a run for their money here. It now kind of appears that VLK is controlling this point. Do you think that's more of a testament to VLK and KRT's ability, you know, with their tanks and everything, or do you think that it's more of a testament to like their strategy and their garrisons and whatnot?
I mean, the thing is that let's check the map here. Look at this. Baddies of the North is completely surrounding here BLK and KRT, but they are well, they should start, but they are not that capable of starting that easily an offensive as the way VLK KRT managed to do when they capture Legrand Creek. So I would dare to say it has something to do with map knowledge, first of all, because if you don't know the map, you usually don't see this kind of gameplay. And well, secondly, the abilities of each player, because well, we can see that most of the 1v1s we are seeing here, I'm moving the hands, that's why I have the camera standing still just in case. We are seeing, for example, Rifleman, once again mentioning him, taking many people before dying, so we see that they are also winning the 1v1s. That will suggest that these guys from the coalition has a little bit more experience in the game as players, as knowing how to shoot, how not to shoot, how to move, and that. And finally, I would say the strategy. I mean, at the end of the day, Utah is one of the most played competitive matches. I mean, not matches, but maps. Therefore, it's like I already have a strategy for this. I just have to remember how it is in the moment. So I think it goes more in that way, in those 3 steps, more than just saying was this particular thing, because it all adds up. I mean, Baddies of the North here, it's as capable as BLK in all the 3 things, but we are seeing that BLK it's a little bit further in at least one of these 3 things, which actually makes you win a match in the competitive scene. I don't know if you agree with me here.
I do. I mentioned earlier, you know, you got to check off all the boxes, and to me, it definitely would appear that
Alakbar here. Alakbar.
That was good. That was worth it, man. That was worth it. You know, he has to be tapping himself on the back for that one. But, you know, like I said before, you gotta check off the boxes. And if you're going through the match and you're not able to check off the number of boxes that you need to do, you need to make some adjustments. You need to change your approach. It's definitely one of those things that definitely will haunt you, per se, as a commander, as a leader, going, you know, what should I have done? Should I have done this or that or this or that? But at the end of the day, you really can't do much if the other team is just hitting it on all cylinders. And that's just how sometimes it is. You know, you might send, you know, can you sit here and say, well, maybe we should have sent a recon tank back there to destroy their garrisons? Okay, well, maybe if you did that, okay. But at the end of the day, VLK and KRT, they're standing on their business. They're doing what needed to be done from the get-go. You know, and they're just doing it a little bit better than Baddies of the North. Not to say that Baddies of the North are a bad team or anything. You know, I used to, you know, I was in Rangers of the North for a little bit there, right after my little stint in the 7th Cav. They're a group of guys that know what the heck they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
I mean, of course, they won the Div 2 APL. I mean,
Exactly, and I think they are the next team that will be entering tier 1. I truly do think that Baddies of the North, Bad Intentions and Rangers of the North, they have players in both of them that I could definitely see giving a Spirit a run for their money. There are things though that they need to iron out, and they're going to iron out in the next year or so.
Attention to the P strike here. Ooh!
I love me a good boom boom. I love them boom booms.
The distance between that P strike and the tank. Damn, that was a good P strike. Great job, Mailbox or Commander tonight. Well, today. Bombardment here by VLKRT.
That might
Cleaning
effectively
completely
close off. Yep.
the attack.
That was a statement bombing run. That was a bombing run that said, you might take out our tanks, but we control this point. And that's a statement bombing run there. That's to solidify that they control that point for the next, 7.5 minutes there.
Such an accurate artillery hit there.
Wow, they just smack them. Smack them with the arty, boys. But that 76, is that a 76 up there, or is that a...
That is a 76. Yeah. No, that's a medium M4A3.
Baddies of the North are saying, we will not, we do not want to be 4-1 here. They do not want to be 4-1. They are going to try their best here to get it to 3-2.
Here comes the bombing by Baddies of the North here. Making quite a good clean here.
Yeah, the amount of garrison for
people,
VLK KRT is still standing.
Yeah, the amount of people that just spawned in here made it impossible for Baddies of the North to keep pushing, to keep capturing. 8 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock.
You notice that Bears has now switched to being an engineer and whatnot. It looks like they're trying to, shift more guys into more squads here. It does kind of appear from just looking at things that perhaps maybe there is that move to kind of condense down the number of guys that are, in a squad lead position, and they're trying to have more guys push into the point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. In fact, I'm going to relate here to what Widow once told me. I was casting them against ESPT on Quarantine back there in the, I think it was the past HCA, and well, of course, ESPT, the best team in the at the moment here in Hell Let Loose, won against them. And something Widow told me is when you're in the last 15, ooh, what a, sorry, but that artillery strike, there, completely accurate, perfect timing too. But yes, as I was careful here, because this OP might be deadly. This might be the downfall of this point towards Baddies of the North. But yeah, as I was telling you, Widow once told me, when you're in the last 10-15 minutes of the match and your team is losing, you start to desperate. Even you might be the best team, but you're losing. You seeing that your tries to get the push or try to get a cap or something like that does not work, you start to panic a little bit. Therefore, you start doing some things that maybe do not follow the strategy or the main idea. Therefore, you start doing these crazy things, trying to get a window for your team. I believe Taylor managed to get a satchel on that 76 too, by the way.
I think so too.
So, Baddies of the North right now,
It'll be
I believe it's in that stage where they want to do the impossible to
I think they're
recapture
gonna
this
try
point.
here, and I think what you're gonna see
No.
here. Oh God. Whipping speed, brother.
There it goes, Satchel goes off. Great Satchel by Taylor there. What a miss by that 76. 5 minutes remaining on the clock, I do believe.
Oh, Cano.
Kaono dying here, unfortunately. I don't think he has a...
Oh, Airhead is going down.
Well, as I told you, but yes, many infantry here, so VLKRT is already expecting this airhead. We can see Connor, the commander, Milk, once again Milk, and...
Where's Cookies, man?
Where's
Cookies at?
No, not gonna try to pronounce that, by the way. Not gonna try. You can see the three are trying here to get to the airhead before it falls. So yes, it was, well, basically that was what I would have done. I told you earlier at the start of the match, first 30 minutes I think. But yes, when you give the enemy time to know that they are going to lose the point and you let them do these kind of preparations here, there's just no chance. These guys anticipated this further attack. 5 minutes on the clock. Yes, it's this moment when you are desperate, trying to win, but well, desperation creates this. I'll dare to say that Kaono should have fall back a little bit more here maybe and protect the airhead over here, over this zone, not this airhead quite in the open. So, but yes, 2 minutes yet on the clock to decide the winner, and we see a very strong front line by VLKRT.
You know, they are reestablishing themselves, and you know what? They'll hold there for the next, 2 minutes or so. And I think you got to tip your hat to Baddies of the North. They came out, and they were checking some of the boxes. They weren't checking all the boxes, and I think they're going to be able to go back to the drawing board, and they'll be able to check off some things and whatnot, and they'll figure out, all right, what do we do wrong? What do we do right? What can we do better? And I think that's all pretty crucial things that as a team that is looking to go the next step to, Division 1, I would argue that they're going to look at that. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. Did I see everybody that Baddies of the North could bring? Did I see their top lineup? We probably didn't. But at the end of the day, this was the match. And when it comes time to the match, you either have everybody that you can bring that's at the top of their game, or you don't, and you still play on and you play with what you have. And truthfully, I think both teams did a phenomenal job of exactly that, if that makes sense.
Completely agreed. I mean, Ulver told me before they started the match, like an hour ago, I was telling him, you better do good, otherwise you're gay. Telling someone is gay if they don't do something, it's always the solution. He told me there were a few people that was unable to participate, at least for the main team. So yeah, it was... I wouldn't say that losing a few players completely condemned here Baddies of the North, because at the end of the day, KRT, VLK and KRT won the 1v1s too. So yeah, I don't think it would have made a difference. But here, minute 46 in the clock, this match is going to the coalition between the European teams VLK and KRT. What a match, to be honest. I really enjoyed it.
You can't ever complain, right? And I tell everybody this. You can't ever complain when the match itself is between very equal teams. And these teams are definitely equal in many different ways. Whether it's tank skill, understanding of the map. They were effective in understanding the assignments, VLK and KRT just came out on top this time. And that's just how the cookie crumbled this time. And maybe next time, Baddies of the North will have it. We'll just have to wait and see when these teams play against each other again. It like I've said before, it's always fun seeing these coalitions go up against each other. You never know what will happen.
I completely agree. I mean, in a moment you were saying that you congratulated or something like that, VLK and KRT, because usually the coalitions do not work as smoothly as these two, Baddies of the North and VLKRT, do. I mean, I'll give you my own example here. Previous APL, not this one of this year, the past, the season 3, we ended up being a coalition with MIB, made in Brazil, and the Devil's Company, and it was not that easy to play, mostly because of the language barrier, of course, but also having different points of view on how to play the matches, the different types of communication between. When I was at Legion Condor, we don't usually tend to play with Devil's Company members every day or MIB, so that communication thing here, it's unfortunate. Once again, happened at the ESPT versus MS match, the final of the APL, where some people rage quit. Actually, it's not good for the team neither.
And I'll say this here and now, it's not good for the game. And I'll stand, 2 feet down on that one. You stick through the match, right? You finish it up, you say your GGs, and then you can leave. You just gotta finish up what you start. That's all it is, brother. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Great job at the Ultimate Tank crew. The best performing one. Not taking numbers out of Honey Badger here at Comrade Grim. They just played better as tanks and infantry behind the enemy lines, defeating Baddies of the North tanks here. But I'll go ask if they want to, any of them wants to do a short interview, if they're willing to stay here with me. I will just do this very short transition here, and yes, I'll go ask if you stay here with me a little bit longer. I'm going to leave some music here playing, some Metro music as always, so be right back. Finally, someone decided to come talk here. Let me go Rob once again here. The APL. There we go. Should be good. No, why? No, yes. I see. Give me a second here.
Tienes que corregir el nombre.
¿Qué le falta al nombre?
HT.
Qué no complicado que sos, pibe, ¿eh? Aquí estoy con el modo estudio de mierda. There we go, Ulfbert. How are you?
Put some spit on it, boy!
Something like that, yeah. But yeah, how are you, Ulfbert?
I'm fine. Tired. Very tough match.
Dude, that was a tough one. That was a tough. We were just talking about, some of the tank play that you guys had there. And I think the biggest question is, going into that match, what were you guys kind of like? What was like the overall gameplay that you guys, like the game plan that you guys had, prepared, and do you feel that you guys, followed that to the best of your ability?
I'll answer both in one word: nothing. No, we didn't have a lot of preparation for that particular point. It was discussed, but we didn't really prepare any points. We went on experience. The moment we got the map assignment and the point and the function, this is the first time we played this type of tournament, and we were hosting. So we had an issue with the server that we really didn't have time. We had to set the point and get this pre-flip. So we really didn't have time to at least do one dry run, and that was a little bit problematic for us. And the strategy was easy. Was obviously, as Axis is very hard if you don't cap. So it was try to go all in and cap, even at the expense of map control. And we had issues with the medium and my light. We collided and we got tangled on the road, and we got late to the point. But regardless of that, we tried to stack the 3 tanks on the hard cap, and we couldn't. We did only only the 2 lights, and that put us in the back foot for the capping of the points. But then we got boxed out real quickly by infantry. So there was a little glimpse of a moment where we started recapping, but that never materialized. And anyone who played this point as Axis knows once you lose the opener point when it's WN7, it's extremely hard. And then we lost the intersection, the crossroads, and the buildings there semi late in the game, like a little bit like half an hour later, 20 minutes. And once we got that, it got really ugly, really ugly.
It turned into a slugfest there. No, I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely what we saw.
They did a really good job pushing on the north, because not only we got boxed out of the midpoint relatively quickly, but also they were able to put a lot of pressure north on our second point on La Grande Creek. And that really, we were discussing that on the briefing, we kind of overreacted to that. I didn't count the SLs, but there were a lot of SLs that redeployed for an airhead at some point, and it was a little bit of an overreaction at some point. And that also cost us a Rat City, as it's called, like the south of Chapel, those buildings there.
Yep.
And then we got we went from Guatemala to Guatepeor, right? We got into uglier situation.
Oh, jeez. He went from the ghetto to the ghettoer. Oh, Lord have mercy. No, I totally get it. We had mentioned in the match too. I had mentioned that. I said, you got to be careful at all times of when you react on defense, that you're not overcommitting, because when you overcommit, that's when you start to see the enemy team. They will, if they're a good team like VLKRT is, they will react, and they will react. They will take advantage of that. This isn't both Baddies of the North and VLKRT. I mentioned it before. They're both, top tier teams. And you watch the gameplay and you look back over it. It went back and forth for some times, but it came down to VLKRT was checking off the boxes.
Yeah,
you guys, were checking off some of the boxes. You weren't checking off all the boxes. But.
Yeah, no, kudos to them. We played KRT once or twice last year with Rangers of the North, which is part of the Alliance in BOTN, and we played against VLK. And clearly, of course, the team here, the Alliance, is very strong, but clearly the KRT has very strong tanks. They communicate and they play very well with their inf, and they dosify the pressure, and they communicate very well because they react to one tank being harassed, and immediately the other one comes to its aid. So we knew that. We knew they were going to be very disciplined team. Our experience with VLK, it was a little bit more gracious, because we defeated them in a scrim some months ago. So we knew there were a little bit of an imbalance there between one team and the other, but they played excellently, and kudos to them for playing very disciplined, very cautiously, and very methodically. We knew this was going to be a very, very tough match, and it's all for the better. I think it's healthy. It's not the end of the world. The objective is not to end fourth in the group and just make it to the next stage. It's a long tournament, and sometimes these defeats are good. It keeps you honest and keeps you working hard and rethinking what went right, what went wrong, and to adjust for the future to correct mistakes. So we're tired because it was a very hard match, but our spirits are high for the next 2 weeks.
I mean, got a question before we keep talking. You were there, so what was the reaction of the people before the match? Once the point was known and that you were playing as Axis, what were your how did the team receive that information? Because
Well, a little bit how I said at the beginning, we joked about it. We say, okay, if we don't cap from the opener, it's GG. It doesn't matter if you lose 5-0, 4-1, or 3-2. It's going to be really, really hard to recap that point. And then when we couldn't cap it, the team was knowing that this is potentially a 3-2 loss. Even if they don't push, it's very hard to recap. So we were ready for a long grinding game, 90 minutes or a little bit under 90 minutes of constantly pushing. So we were into the game with that attitude, knowing we cap or we're going to suffer. And when we started suffering, nobody was surprised.
yeah, I mean, because we were seeing how BLK and KRT were able to infiltrate at the end of the day, you know, behind your lines. Basically, what hurt you guys, the tankers, the most, these people infiltrating behind with ATs, and that, well, there was a moment of break where you just couldn't keep holding Legrand Creek here, and you were forced to fall back. We were watching BLK and KRT trying to push to get the last point to end at 5-0, 20 minutes remaining, and then you started this massive push and non-stop. Exactly like we were talking about past night Syndicate, you know, that kept trying to push and not lose the... Well, it was something like that. And I was telling here, being something that I told you already, what Widow told me once, that when you're losing last 10-15 minutes, you start to get that idea of, nah, I gotta do something, you know? And you start
get creative.
thinking
you get
ways.
creative
Exactly.
And you do unpredictable things, yes.
Exactly.
Sometimes those things aren't for the best, though. You gotta remember that. Oh, man.
It's a gamble.
Agree.
It's a gamble, for sure.
I mean, it's interesting because at the end of the day, we could say that any game that is this multiplayer, there is a team winning and losing, and there is some strategy in the middle. You could say it's gambling, right? For example, that gamble we were watching of Chimera, of sending many people to the airhead, while Syndicate was trying to attack yesterday, once again, taking that as an example. So it's a gamble at the end of the day.
But this is typical. This happens. It's a balance, right? Sometimes there's a balance built into the strategy, the dynamic of the game. This happens also in pubs, even when you don't have a commander, the team could be really bad in a pub game without a commander. But then when you're fighting for the last point, dominoes fall into place, right? Everyone, because that's the only place you can play. You start coordinating better, and you start basically defending better, and from that defense automatically you start becoming a better coordinated, like a fist, right? A more focused strategy as a team. So this is typical also in comp play, when nobody wants to lose 5-0 with time remaining, so it is like aligns the planets, and we started to push back, and we were very proud of being able to hold the 5-0. and actually recap La Grande, which is also a very tough point to retake once they get tanks, and they had 2 or 3 tanks at some point over there. So that was a little medal that we take, a proud medal that we take, that we were able to hold and push them back, consolation prize. But yeah, we were back into the into the original position, right, of 3-2 with no frontal push once we lost Crossroads and Right City. And we tried, I made a run with, I think it was a Puma. I got a couple of Garys, OPs, and infantry. And then we got the Gary in the back line. We couldn't find the actual Gary in WN7 before we died to a rocket. And we couldn't protect the airhead. The airhead was seen and grenaded. But that was the last desperate attempt of.
So that was the explosion I saw. You with the.
Yes. Yeah, we did a run with the Puma, a very successful one, and we were thinking in the chat and the commander chats, like, what happens if we recap? Do we have a plan? I asked, and then we said, well, I'm gonna have an airhead. So I did a push map edge, and I wiped 2 OPs with their SLs. Luckily, I got 2 Garys, but not the Gary in front and behind, but not the one actually on Harkap. It was within the wall somewhere. And then when we trying to go for it, we got rocketed. And then the airhead landed with us, with the Puma dead, and someone tossed a grenade, and the airhead was gone within 20-25 seconds. So we couldn't get a spawn out of it, and that was the Hail Mary that you don't like to be forced to do, but we tried it. And Baddies of the North have been successful at doing those crazy plays at the end. That would have been the last chance. We couldn't materialize on it. But again, it was another gamble at the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
Well, I mean, I go back to what I told you about Widow once telling me, and to be honest, I believe that it was quite obvious that the next play, if you managed to recap Le Grand Creek, was to drop an airhead, which,
right.
Well, as we were watching, 5 minutes remaining, airhead falling, you had 3 people already going straight to where the airhead was falling, So
right.
It was like an obvious play for many people. I would say it was.
But you have to try, right?
But
yeah,
of course. The only difference I was telling here, Bean, is that I would have dropped it closer to Kaunos, who was hiding there in those extremely important houses to keep or capture Win 7. So yeah, that's like the main difference. I believe that would have been better, but yes.
I think the intel was, we just got 2 Garys. We got the Gary right where the Gary and boxes, right where the airhead was landing, map edge behind the hedgerow. So in theory, it was not a bad place. But this is the nature of that point, right? If you put it, you don't want to put it in the middle because people are going to be waiting in the buildings. But if you put it anywhere else, this massive line of barbed wire that is funneling you into like this 1 or 2 choke points to entry the hard cap. So it's really hard. And I agree with you. Maybe, with the benefit of the newspaper from the Monday morning, maybe on the building in the north, which is Grandma, also you have a trench system and barbed wire to go over, but maybe there could have been safer. I don't know. We just had the intel that we got 2 Garys. I didn't see the guy the person who tossed a grenade on the OP. I missed it with the Puma, and I cannot stay quiet. I have to keep moving because then it's harder to rocket me. And I thought we had a chance. Commander thought the same thing, and they were waiting for it. It is an obvious play. People are going to be waiting for the drop, but there's always this chance that last minute is you had to try it and it might work. But I don't think any point was going to be comfortable to drop that ahead. Every point is going to be kind of tough to keep it alive. But kudos to KRT and VLK. Very well played, and hopefully A lot goes also into the map and the point and the faction. So, like I said, this is a very tough map to play and point to play from the Axis side if you don't cap. I think this could have been the same dynamic if we had allies and we cap first. It would have been extremely painful for them as well.
I agree with that 100%.
And very uncomfortable as well. So it is sometimes those dynamics that play, and you have to play your cards very well, and they did. So it's good. I think this group C is going to be very tough.
Yes, this is Group C. Both matches are done for the week. And, well, let me check here real quick. And the standings just to check. Because why this takes so long to load. There we go. No, not this one. So, well, as far as now, we would have here a Chimera and the coalition between VLK and KRT with a victory both. Meanwhile, Baddies of the North and Syndicate remain at the bottom with.
And we play next week.
Both. Exactly. Next week, you would be facing. Let me check here. Syndicate, correct? Yes. And finally, Chimera next week.
Yeah.
What are your expectations against Syndicate?
I mean,
you won against them at the APL here.
Yeah, we defeated them, but it was a very close game. The first round, it was down center Carrington, and they held the point from the beginning, and we only were able to turn it around with 7 or 8 minutes left on the game. It was very tough. I think anyone can win the group. Any of these 4 teams can win the group. A lot of it will fall into the map and the faction and the point. So Chimera could have a really good game or a bad game with any of us. It depends a lot on those dynamics. Given that there's no prep, it's another level of randomness and experience. The experience of the team matters the most. Having had played the point with the faction before in comp before, that will give you, in the absence of proper prep, it will give you a little bit of a heads up, a little bit of a boost. But again, I think this. I checked the other groups. I said this group is going to be one of the most hardest and well fought of all, most of even teams of all the other groups. Maybe apart from Group A and Group B.
Well, I don't know if I don't have any more questions. I don't know if you, PapaBean.
No, I'm all set. It was a great match, like I said before. Hats off to you guys. It'll be fun to see how you guys do in the throughout this tournament here. It'll be fun to watch.
Thank you for casting.
Hey, thank you for coming. So
I hope you caught my good side, my good profile side.
Yeah, your good 4K getting destroyed by a sachet. Yes.
Yeah, we had your good side. Yep. Yep.
Amazing side here.
That was good.
In the ass,
like
exactly in the ass.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You best believe it, sweetheart.
Of course. Yeah. You're gonna have 2, one from Bean, one from me.
You're gonna be my DiCaprio. I'm gonna be your whatever I don't remember the
Kate
name.
Winslet.
Kate, yeah. I'm gonna be your muse.
Fuck her up, sweetheart.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of Sunday and a good week.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming. And well, that was all for here, talking for Baddies of the North. A little bit of information. Thanks once again, APL, for letting me rob you. And well, anything to say here as conclusion, Bin?
Final thoughts right now. Kind of, a lot of it stems to this, right? The team that came out with a little bit, more of their boxes checked off, won the match. We saw that. I look forward to seeing both of these teams in action in the next several matches that are upcoming here. Definitely, Baddies of the North going up against Syndicate. That'll be one to definitely watch out for. But no, that's it from me. I appreciate getting the chance to be on here and talking with everybody. So thank you.
Well, thanks you for coming. Actually, PapaBean. Otherwise, I would have been alone, and I think I told you. I don't. No, I did not tell you. I'm here with a little headache, so wouldn't have been a good stream without you here, to be honest. So thanks you for coming and joining me here. So this is going to be all for today. Once again, thanks, Bean. Anything to say before we head out both?
No, other than shout out to Twig Gaming. Love you guys. Yeah, that'll do it for me, man.
You gotta better share them this stream so they know things,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, thanks, Bean.
Yep. Take care, man.
Well, as always, people, see you around, and I'm gonna leave you with the as always song, and have a good Sunday here. Good night. Once again, I really enjoyed this match. Quite interesting to see.